Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Corstian, tough loss for the Broncos. It's all right.
hmm
Bears finally get on the win column, and that looked great. I was trash talking Cowboys fan friends and stuff like that, so that's always great. Um, what a game between Detroit and Baltimore. How are you feeling after 3 weeks in the NFL season?
um, it feels like a really hectic season. Where this week I felt like it was a really good week in terms of to predict uh correct. Where I think weeks 1 and 2, a lot of people have like a decent idea. These are 2 or they're likely to lose. This last, I felt like a lot of upset, really close game down to it. Where I was like, I have no idea what the outcome of a lot of these games actually will be. Usually, like,
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I think you're
yeah,
cutting out a little bit, but I kind
uh,
of got the gist of what you were saying. Like it's still really early in the season. I feel like we
mhm,
sound like a broken record when saying this, but like when you see the Browns beating the Packers, the
mhm,
Colts are 3-0, and like the Jags and the Texans going at it, and it's just like anything could happen. Like on a Sunday, it's abnormal
mhm,
to this point. Even the CD TikTok that Caleb had reposted, that is just funny. So
mhm,
anything could happen. And after week 1, we were saying, are the Lions done, myself included? And they look like the same juggernaut Lions. So
mhm,
we'll see. And you're welcome for that dynasty L you took last week.
yeah,
Yeah, last week. That was good to see. Get myself in the win column here with the Bears.
yeah, that's good. Happy for you.
Yeah, I mean, had CD played, that probably would have made me nervous. Like the whole
Mhm,
game, obviously. It's like that injury kind of sucks, but
yeah,
yeah. But then Najee Harris, the guy I traded for, he's out with an Achilles. So yeah, that
mhm,
was a great move, Josh. Sucks for Najee. Hope he
yeah,
heals fast. So
for sure.
alrighty. So that's it for us. 3 weeks in the books. Now we can end it. But just kidding. As far as like observations from week 3, I got some film to dive into.
Mhm,
I don't know if you got any film you wanted to see, but I wanted to start out with a crazy, crazy performance by Isaiah Rodgers, but really from an holistic sense on what's going on in week 3. Um, look at look at this Vikings defense. I don't know if you've seen this floating over Twitter and whatnot, but it's kind of bonkers the stuff that Flores is doing.
mhm,
Let's see here. Okay, so I'll kind of share my screen. Um, okay, so this post is all about disguising.
mhm,
See them line up. They look like they're going to blitz like 7 or 8 people. Suddenly the safety shifts. Slot cornerback comes in the picture on the near side of the field. Then you see the other switch happen. So then they go into Tampa 2. And then when the ball is snapped, they go into like a hybrid look.
mhm.
Corstian, that is, I don't know if you kept track of all of this with all the shifts and stuff like that, but that is just 4 different coverages they rolled out in the span of 20 seconds pre to post snap. That
Yeah.
is the amount of difficulty that takes to coordinate as an entire defense is just madness.
Mhm,
And all the respect in the world to Brian Flores for even like attempting to do this. And it's no wonder that Jake Browning struggled
mhm.
because this would this would like tilt any quarterback,
Yeah.
honestly, because you can't get a read on where my coverage is at. You hold the ball second longer when guys like Dallas Turner are having a field day. This is what it comes down to. So
Mhm. Yeah. Like, yeah, all that movement really makes, especially just like, sure, Jake Browning is, I think like he is one of the better backups in the league, but ultimately he still is a backup quarterback, and just like the amount of prep time he does have to prepare just even against vanilla defenses, and then you get thrown into the mix with this. It's pretty scary.
it makes me feel a lot better about the Bears choking week 1, even though I'm still irritated by that. So like when you have this going on for like a really veteran defense, it's not much you can do against that.
hmm
But What were some of your observations for week 3?
Yeah. Kind of tagging along with this whole Bengals bit though. Like the Bengals have a genuine issue with their offensive line. I might say the Bengals probably have. It's like a tie between the Bengals and the Raiders, I think, of having the worst offensive line in the league right now. Where like the defense scheming here, obviously with the Vikings, is phenomenal. I'm not gonna like take anything away from that, but also like I don't even think the Vikings have to do half of the stuff they did this game, and they still probably would have dominated the Bengals here simply due to the fact that the Bengals offensive line is so weak. I saw, I think it was today or yesterday, that Chase Brown this season has negative 54 yards before contact. Like, and I know a lot of people like
I saw that. That was wild.
right, and like a lot of people have been dogging on Chase Brown, being like, oh, I guess he really isn't like maybe it was just kind of a fluke here, maybe, and I think to an extent maybe it was, but like the fact that Chase Brown even has positive yards this season, I think says a lot about his just overall playing ability. Where I think he is at minimum like an above average across the league running back, where he is, he can make plays. We've seen him make good play, do good, but this season it's been a struggle, and we've seen that with the fact that he has negative 54 yards before contact. Joe Burrow has been sacked at a isn't it like a higher rate he's been sacked at than Andrew Luck entering the league? Like it's ridiculous. And like for real, the Bengals got to do something to address their offensive line issues, because as much as I think it's fun to see the electric playmakers on this offense, I don't really envision them really ever making it back to a Super Bowl if their offensive line doesn't get any better, because the way this is going, any playoff caliber team should be able to manhandle this offensive line and just keep the offense from really maintaining clutch drives or consistent drives.
Yeah, and then when you're not getting blocking from best players like Jamar Chase, I think there was a reception where like late in the third they were getting blown out. He's whistle block, and that just comes down to coaching. Like they just you need the toughness because they have a lot of talented players. They try to invest in the offensive line, but when you're not getting cohesiveness, that's a factor. That's a factor. For me, you can't ignore the stuff that's going on with the special teams like through 3 weeks, especially this past week. There were like 4 or 5 different blocked kicks, 2 of them in the same game. One immediately comes to mind is the Browns and the Packers. Packers are about to ice it with 27 seconds left after giving up 10 points in the last 3 minutes. Denzel Ward blocks it. And then after Michael Parsons commits a penalty, Joe Flacco a couple completions. You got Andre Smith, the rookie, walking it off for the win. That was crazy. Hats off to Cleveland this week. Then part of the Eagles' comeback was a couple of blocked field goals on the Rams. Jalen Carter blocking a 36-yarder from Cardi, and then Jordan Davis to ice the game on a blocked 6-point return was ridiculous. And Carter was having a great day, like first 3 quarters of the game. There were multiple kickoffs where like he has this unique knuckleball that the Eagles just could not field at all, and that's why their starting position was like always at like the 15-yard line, the 20-yard line. Like that, it was just something insane like that, and yeah, that was. So Eagles single-handedly won this game with special teams and just unreal play out of Jalen Hurts and the receivers in the second half. Just incredible. That's not it. That's not it, Corstian. No, Buccaneers completely blowing out the Jets. Jets come back. Buccaneers have a 26-20 lead. Basically, they blocked a kick late in the fourth quarter. Jets had a 27-26 lead after Will McDonald blocked the kick, but luckily Mayfield was clutch. Field goal by Chase McLaughlin at the end of the game. And that's not the only block.
Mhm.
Tennessee Titans had a 57-yarder, and the ball ended up getting blocked after a penalty was taking place. And you would normally never attempt a 60-yard field goal, but after what Cam Little did, what Jake Bates did at the end of the first half, like, I know he missed it, but then also what Joey Sly attempted, this is normal now. This is insane. But now you have guys like kicking off field goals from like well past the 40-yard line. And it was refreshing to see like the block kicks were not impacting the Bears of last season. It was impacting the entire league in 1 week. But I don't think we could go past this week without mentioning that, because it did define a lot of how the games panned out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it kind of goes to show like the importance of just special teams as a whole, where I think like a lot of people, when they think about the special teams, it is like kick coverage, like punt coverage, kickoff coverage, is kind of like the main focus of like how people perceive it. But obviously the special teams via like kicking and those blocked kicks were a huge part of, you know, the outcomes of a lot of games this week. And so it's kind of cool just to see in a weird way that the special teams is getting highlighted.
100%. Okay. Any thoughts on Jackson Dart being named the starter for the Giants?
I think it'll be exciting. I'm excited just to see how Jackson Dart plays. But also it seems like the Giants, despite what I say about the Bengals and the way they handle their offensive line, the Giants may be the worst ran football team in the NFL over like the last like 5-ish years or so. I mean, like probably a little bit longer than that, but like very deliberately over the last 5 years, Giants have been awful. Like, and I think ultimately, like I think there's a lot of aspects that come to play. It's like Brian Dable, I think, has some blame to be thrown his way, but also I look at some of like the teams that they're fielding here, and I'm like, I don't know. It's just like there's a lot of question marks regardless of like each year. There's like a lot of changes that happen, but then ultimately, I think what it comes down to is I see how Daniel Jones plays on the Colts, and just everybody prior to this season, right, was like, Daniel Jones is not an NFL caliber quarterback. He has no business being a starter, you know, all these shenanigans. And I think there might have been some things, you know, that happened in Minnesota that helped him a little bit. But like the fact that what we're seeing here with the Colts and Indiana Jones and how he was looking with the Giants is so night and day that I'm like, obviously, to me, Daniel Jones probably deserved that, $33 million a year contract when he got it in New York. Because, like, when he has some semblance of a team around him, I guess he can play decent football, because the Colts are sitting here at 3-0 and have looked like the real deal every single week.
I don't want to be that guy because I said the same thing about Jaden Daniels. But I want to see more out of the Colts offense, because right now it looks like it's a very one-read offense. So, Danny Dimes, I don't want to be a hater here. You've been playing well in that offense. You've been executing when called upon, and you've been hitting the targets as you see them open. That's your job as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But my concern is once week 6, once week 7 hit, and the offense starts to get figured out conceptually, you have a lot of film to work on. How are you gonna react to the counter punches that opposing teams throw at you? That we need to see from him, before I'm ready to crown him. And I'll probably be late to the party. Jonathan Taylor's looking great. Like, I'm kicking myself for not investing in him, because like he's had one of his best seasons in a while so far. But yeah, that's something I want to take it to stock. But back to the Giants, I am utterly shocked at what I've been seeing out of Russell Wilson since that overtime interception. They had a 4th and goal opportunity against Kansas City, and he didn't even attempt to throw at a receiver in his hands the past 2 throws. 4th down and goal. He didn't throw to anybody. He threw like at the crossbar. I'm like, dude, give your guys a chance. What are you doing? Like, they're not helping Malik Neighbors out. They're taking him out of the game. And like this, and you're just chucking up deep balls because you're getting impatient. You're not being patient. You're just being too overzealous. And he cost his team 2 wins now with like just bad back-breaking interceptions, despite the fact that he's had a phenomenal day against the Cowboys. This was bad. And I think the Giants didn't want to make this move too early, but I feel like you almost have to because, like, who's to say that Jameis won't do the same thing? Like, it's some of the decision making is just baffling, and they just need a better decision maker behind the wheel. Because if you look at the effort that like Cam Scadaboo is putting out and that defensive line is putting out, like you want to be able to channel that in a smart way and lead this team. And Russell Wilson's not doing that with his throwing ability. He might be doing it in other aspects of his game, but I think it's time to make this move. But Giants fans, you got to be patient with Dart. Like, he's not going to go and rescue the season. I wouldn't expect that out of him. I would expect what you're seeing out of like Caleb Williams or JJ McCarthy, ups and downs through the season, like any given rookie, a first start opportunity. But yeah, I felt like he had to make this move. It's probably just earlier than what they wanted to do.
Yeah, well, like Russell Wilson, since his like last season in Seattle, has really been his moon ball or bust. Or if he can't consistently just get those moon balls like done correctly, like inaccurate, hitting his targets there, then whatever offense's game plan he's in just completely falls apart. Where it's like these I think he's obviously like with the Broncos, right? Everyone thinks like, oh, like the Broncos ruined him or whatever, but you look at like the games that they were winning, and it was like almost like they had like that 5-game win streak with that year with his first year with Sean Payton, and like almost all of those wins were like a last second or like multiple like crazy ridiculous touchdowns that were just like over the shoulder crazy Cortland Sutton catches. And so it's like if he doesn't have these crazy like highlight reel level plays that just are these deep passes, then like the rest of his game is honestly like pretty below average. And you even see like his early part of his career with Seattle as well, where I think he was fundamentally a bit better of a player. But you look at like all of his highlights are, the offensive line kind of struggles to block the pass rush. And so then it's him scrambling around until he finds somebody. He throws like some crazy deep ball, which is honestly an amazing accomplishment by him, because it's really hard to make those plays. But now it's like he doesn't have the same ability to do those kind of highlight plays. And so now you have a guy who sits more so in the pocket and doesn't scramble as successfully, trying to do those same exact things. And it's a very one-dimensional type of this pass attack that you're getting from Russell Wilson right now.
Yeah, and that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it for like an offensive line, and that's kind of been reworked. I know Andrew Thomas has been in and out with injury, but you're kind of hoping like Russell Wilson will kind of steady the ship, and then he's just not adjusted, and it's shocking for a veteran QB. Okay, let's go to our second film clip I have here. Got to do it for my Bears fans. No, this is not the flea flicker play. This is a throw that I don't think Caleb should have attempted, but you got this defender in the way. As you see the receiver coming to the picture, that's Luther Burden. That's a pass that could have been cut off by this defender. He probably did think Caleb was going to throw it. And then you have a safety bearing down on him in real time. For him to see that from the angle he did was just crazy. Like you could see the arm talent, the step, the speed at which the ball arrives to the receiver. That I think was probably more impressive than the Cowboys being bad. There are a lot of wide open receivers on the touchdowns, but if you're playing like this, like in the pocket, playing on time and hitting your reads, that is what you want in a Ben Johnson system, and that is what you wanted to see from Caleb. So yes, Cowboys defense was terrible, Caleb had an insane fantasy day, but I would not just chalk it up to the Cowboys being terrible. There are some decisions he's making in the pocket on time in rhythm that you're like, okay, Caleb gets it. Because if you saw him last season, he was holding on to the ball way too long. And then in here, it's a 13-second play. Like he takes a 3-step drop, holds the ball for maybe like a half a second, and lets that go. Caleb Williams, I know, would kind of pat the ball, scramble around, try to find something, and he did a little bit of that, but less frequently. And I thought he did great. Still missing some of the basic throws. He has to clean that up. But we saw progress, and progress is always good.
Yeah, and I think just a lot of that is like, what was this? Oh yeah, like the issue last year was like the lack of throwing with anticipation. That 100% here is a throw with anticipation where you're expecting your guy to be here based off like the coverage that the defense is giving you. And like you said, like last season, he pats the ball and kind of moves around because he doesn't know what to expect from like his, I guess, route runner plus how like the defense is set up. But here he's able to see the gap and is able to throw into the open spot for his receiver that I don't think we see too much of him doing last year.
Luther Burden, going to be a fantasy factor at the end of October. I don't think he's going to have the statistical outputs like next season and next following week. I think a lot of it was the Cowboys defense being bad, but he looks great out there. And like, I don't know how much patience DJ Moore will have as the season progresses because Robodunze has become the number one. You kind of see Moore being used less often. And Burden might easily overtake the role that Ben Johnson wants. That's what it's looking like. And this is very similar to how I felt about like CeeDee Lamb over Amari Cooper. Like I knew when CeeDee Lamb was like a rookie, he's going to be better. He's the best receiver on the team. But like Amari Cooper is kind of the established one. This is kind of like what we're seeing here in Chicago. It's a little bit hard to tell between Rome and Luther's just like talents. And Rome is kind of getting the wide receiver one looks right now. So it's probably going to be less like not calling Luther Burden, CeeDee Lamb 2.0. But this guy's going to be a problem to work with once he starts getting accustomed. So love to see he had a great game yesterday.
Yeah. Kind of like adding on to this, just kind of the pass attack in general. I feel like we're seeing a consistent trend of the Shane Waldron effect in terms of lack of success with teams that he's on. And then the second he leaves, the team has immense success in the passing game. Obviously, again, we're only in week 3, so we don't know how far this will go. But I mean, like, beyond Luther Burden, Rome Odunze so far this season has looked like the real deal. The guy they drafted as a like top 10 pick from last season, right? And I saw like the history of Shane Waldron and his pass attack. How are you pretty familiar with his history and the pass attacks that Shane Waldron has left?
I know 2023 he was coaching JSN. We know how JSN feels about him. 2024, he made Rome Odunze look like he needed to adjust playing in the league and Keenan Allen to be a washed-up receiver. And then 2025, he's seemingly rendering Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter like irrelevant. Like your leading receiver cannot be Brennan Strange from week to week. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not with the talent you got in that room. Like. And I don't even know why Liam Cohen is relying on this dude to run the offense. Like you got hired for offensive mind. Like it's just baffling to me.
Yeah, the second I found out he was in charge of the Jaguars, I was like, I should have faded every Jaguars player in fantasy football. But another crazy.
ETN, though.
What was that? Well, I mean, yeah,
but that's well.
He's the passing game coordinator. So I mean, like in regards to the pass attack. But also another crazy thing with the Shane Waldron history, right? Is he was fired from the Rams the year before Cooper Kupp's Triple Crown season. Just like another tidbit of fun football knowledge of Shane Waldron's football past.
Love the conspiracy theories you got going on there.
Yeah, I mean, what? So he leaves the Rams. Cooper Kupp wins Triple Crown. He leaves the Seahawks. JSN all of a sudden gets jumps up in like wide receiver power rankings to like borderline be like top 10. He leaves the Bears. Rome Odunze starts cooking, and then like he goes to the Jaguars where Brian Thomas goes from a top 10 caliber guy to, are we even going to start him in fantasy? Granted, also apparently last week, after the game happened, they had disclosed that he was prior to the game, he had been dealing with a wrist injury, so that may have been something to do with the lack of some of his catches or targets the week prior, but still, that was just something that I was like, that's kind of an interesting thing to disclose after the game, but yeah.
Alrighty. This pains me as somebody who wanted Marvin and Rome in the same draft class.
Mm-hmm.
Given the Bears are in position to do that. This is bad. There's other clips I could show, but I don't want to drag on. But this is what I'm talking about when you like. And he's not the only one. Gabe Davis was notorious for doing this. In fact, the only receiver that can actually like attack the ball and actually be really, really productive and elite as a receiver is Terry McLaurin. He's the only one. But like, he's trying to catch with his feet, and like, instead of letting the ball in his fingertips, he's trying to clap the ball in. And whenever you got like a defender in tight coverage, that's never gonna work. Like, and this man was wide open where like he has this happen, and there's another play in the end zone where it's seeming like it's targeted for somebody else, and then he makes a fantastic like otherworldly play to get in position to catch the ball, and he drops it on the way down. And I don't think it's all on Marvin Harrison Jr. Instead of calling him trash, I think this is an accumulation of like, I don't think he's comfortable with Kyler Murray as his quarterback. I really don't. And I think the Cardinals are going to have to make a decision whether they want to move on from Kyler or not. He's a great fantasy numbers are going to look great from him, but I said this going into the draft. I don't see a world where like both Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride have productive weeks in the same week consistently. It's more like it's going to be one or the other. Right now it's McBride, but I think there's a rift going between MSJ and Kyler going on right now. That's kind of affecting like how Marvin Harrison is thinking, but at the same time, I think he's going about his off seasons the wrong way, and it's kind of leading to the results he's seeing.
Yeah. Something also that I noticed about this clip though was like before he even had the ball secured, he's like he already turns away trying to like move ahead of like the ball. And obviously I think that's just a pure concentration drop right there. Obviously it's something that you'd expect not to quite be the issue with a player of Marvin Harrison Jr.'s caliber, where at least where he was drafted. It kind of reminds me a lot of Jerry Jeudy and how Jerry Jeudy's like, I mean, I still think Judy's probably one of the better route runners in the league. It was just like with the Broncos, like he would get open, but then you just see a lot of concentration drops from Jeudy, and that was why the Broncos felt comfortable to move on from him in the first place. But then you see like with the Browns last season, he did cook for a fact. Like he played good football with the Browns, and that's because he is great at getting open. It was just drop issues was the reason why he just had these struggles, and so I think it feels like a similar case with Marvin Harrison Jr. right here. So hopefully it's just something that he can lock in on, and even if it means like having worse yards after catch, just being able to like secure the ball and just almost go down every time is something I'd almost be halfway okay with Marvin Harrison Jr. doing, just with the amount of drops that we've been seeing both his rookie year and his and the current season. just for the fact, like, imagine he catches it, but then he falls down just to make sure he secures the ball and just gets down right there. I think, obviously, annoying that he doesn't get the yards after catch, but a catch is a catch, and I think that would be a positive to see, at least moving forward with him sometimes.
Absolutely. Cool. Do you have any other observations, or did you want to see the other two clips I had going on? It's going to be Brown season from here on out.
Yeah, we can go through the other clips.
Okay, so pass rushers, Browns kind of like made this game possible. So look at Myles Garrett's get off over here. That is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
He just had what, like a Euro step? Like he was so fast that if you see the other like angle of this, you could see him making fun like on the sideline if you saw like the voiceover version of the right tackle yelling the Jordan run. Like Jordan run. Like the left tackle literally yells at a Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just an insane move he pulled.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, though, I mean, like it's crazy how like Myles Garrett obviously is a game wrecker, but in some capacity, I think I mean, like I feel like that might be something they had game planned before, like the Packers game planned ahead of time, where whoever's guarding, whoever's on Myles Garrett, if they just get beat, to shout Jordan run, because obviously realistically, I feel like this should be a strategy employed by more teams around the league, especially when you're facing an elite pass rusher, because like there's only, I feel like, a couple left tackles in the league that I feel like I'd be comfortable having one-on-one versus a guy like Myles Garrett, right? Like,
fantastic analysis by Corstian. If a pass rusher beats me, run.
But it's his blindside tackle. Like, if he doesn't shout run, and like you just let Jordan Love get blown up in the back without hit, like, because even if he gets hit in the back, there's like some part of him that's like, oh, I know Myles Garrett is right behind me and I can brace myself.
But you don't know how fast. You've seen how quick and that wasn't. I seen clips of him where like Tucker Kraft is like going in motion to try and get a chip on him, and he just whiffs on Myles Garrett. Like this is not just him and pass pro, like pass rush situation. Like in the running game, he's also been like absurdly like effective. But not the only guy on the Browns D line. Mason Graham also had a heck of a game, and we have a 40-second montage of Mason Graham just going off. Some of these are stunts, I get it, but his quickness stands out from the tape instantly. Lined up over the right guard between the tackle too. Beats off the right tackle, forces errant throw. Lined up over the right guard again. Takes on a double team, gets around it, forces a sack for another player. Okay, that's just a miss on the O-line, in my opinion. But, like, you could see how quick he gets into the middle of the pocket. It's, like, when you have that interior pass rush being effective, like, it allows, like, guys like Myles Garrett to be lined up, like, on a one-on-one situation.
Yeah. And I think this is a lot of like what we talked about during our like little off-season bit when we were like going through every team roster by roster, where I think we both were like, we don't envision the Browns winning all too many games, but if they are going to be winning games, it's going to be heavily done through their defense, just because as of the past while now, the Browns defense has been kind of like a steady point of just consistency for this team, and has been a big reason of why they've been competitive over the past couple seasons. And we're just seeing this again, and the fact that they added another player to this defensive line that has this instant production is something, you just really want to see from any first round pick. And so it's nice that the Browns are getting instant production from a guy that, it's highly touted, highly expected to be a premier player.
He was pick number 5, right?
I think so.
Yeah, like so high expectations for this guy and to get like immediate returns. Yeah, that's exactly what you want out of your top 5 picks. So when you have that going on from like along the OD line overall, it's no wonder the Packers were only able to muster 10 points. Even though Matthew Golden should have had a walk-off touchdown, but as a Bears fan, I'm happy you stepped out of bounds. So good job, Matthew. Well done. Alrighty. So that leaves us time to go into our overreactions. So, Corstian, what are some of the things you're overreacting to after 3 weeks?
One overreaction is, are the Falcons just pretenders having like entering this season?
First cold take of the year. I'm just shocked. I didn't think they were going like they were gonna be like 12-4 or 12-5, but I didn't. Well, that's a lie. There's like a low chance of potential that they could be. But if you asked me if like week 3 that they would lose by 30 to the Falcons, I did not have that on my bingo card. That was bad. That was bad. I don't know what else to say. I was like any given Sunday, I guess, but
Yeah, and like the scary bit though was just the fact that I saw the stat where the Falcons didn't get past the Panthers' 30-yard line once during the entirety of the game. And I'm like, yeah, like I felt like the Buccaneers were probably going to win this division anyways. Like I was confident enough in that team, but I was also like saying this might be a close race between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. But then like week 1, I felt like the Falcons looked solid and I was pretty excited for them. And then both weeks 2 and 3, it felt like Michael Penix hasn't looked quite like how I think a lot of people expected him to be, during his technical second year. I know it's his first year is like heading in as the starter. But I think this has shocked a lot of people because again, it's a team that has a lot of playmakers, especially on offense, where you're like, like last week, right? You're like, Kyle Pitts looks like he's back to being like an elite performer. Bijan Robinson is obviously him. Drake London, he's a dog. I'm a fan of Darnell Mooney. Like Tyler Algier even is a solid, probably one of the better backup running backs who I'm expecting gets signed to be a starter somewhere next offseason. Like you got all these really good players on the offense, and it's like, oh well, Kirk Cousins was the guy holding back this team last season. And the fact that in week 3 we're seeing Michael Penix get, I mean, obviously I'm assuming he starts again next week, Michael Penix. But the fact that he gets benched during the game is like a huge yikes moment for me, and I'm like, oh, that is not a good look for the Falcons. Especially when I think almost everybody was predicting the Falcons just manhandled the Colts, or not the Colts, the Panthers right here.
I mean, based on how teams look like the first 2 seasons, yeah. Like it's yeah, that was kind of expectation. I thought they would win by 2 touchdowns, and shows you I know nothing. Alrighty. I'm gonna say Seattle can have a top 7 offense by season's end.
Yeah, I
don't know what the numbers look at, but like I didn't think Sam Darnold would figure it out with this cast of receivers like so quickly. It's a true credit to him. He has proven a lot of people wrong. So that's shout out to him.
Yeah. Let's see. Another take. I honestly I agree with that though. Like Seahawks look really good. Honestly, JSN is a superstar, and I think next year's offseason, when we're talking about like, who to draft in the first round, JSN might be. I mean, he was already borderline a part of that conversation. going into the season, but I think even stronger, more so next year. JSN's going to be in there. But my next take is if the Eagles revert back and don't pass like they did against the Rams, this is my take from last time too, is that they will struggle. Because again, I mean, like, look how night and day this Eagles offense looked once they were down. Like, when they were down by a substantial amount, they start passing the ball, and all of a sudden the Eagles look like a scary playoff team. Like, is that not the case here with the Eagles, where like they're down big time, and I'm like, oh well, I guess the Eagles will lose their first. I feel like a lot of people are like, this is where the Eagles probably lose the first game of the season here, and it's because they just can't. Their offense looks really stagnant. They're not passing the ball well. And Saquon, I mean, he has his moments, but he's not getting these huge game-breaking plays. But then they're down by like a substantial amount of points, and you're like, oh, I guess they're done. And the Eagles are all of a sudden like, hey, we need to pass the ball to try to get ourselves back in the game, and that's what they do. And like, I think it proves a fair amount of Jalen Hurts haters wrong to some extent, where like Jalen Hurts looked good at passing the football yesterday. A.J. Brown looked like one of the premier wide receivers of the league on Sunday. Devontae Smith looked like one of the best wide receiver twos in the league on Sunday. Like, like where was this weeks 1 and 2? But it's just like only when they're down, maybe is when they'll pass the ball. Because obviously, like, if you can just grind away with the run game, I can see why you're able to win. If your offensive line is good enough and your defense is obviously good enough, but like it kind of boosts some more confidence to me. Like the play calling can be good when they pass the ball, is what it seems like for the Eagles. And it's like, but I think like they just got to keep passing the ball.
I would modify that to say they got to be adjustable, because so far it looks like teams are figuring out Saquon and the run game that the Eagles have in plan. So it's one of the things with the coordinator. What I was looking to see is, can the coordinator develop a passing game in case the running game is not working? And yesterday showed he did. Like, credit in the world. But I might be a little bit worried if I'm like a Saquon fantasy owner, because for some reason he's not getting out to hot start. And maybe it's because the Rams defensive line is just absurd. But that's not usual Saquon numbers. You don't see him going 18 carries for 46 yards. So
yeah. I mean, I just think about like weeks 1 and 2, like Saquon didn't. I wouldn't say Saquon had these game-breaking stats as well weeks 1 and 2, but then like they won, and so you're like, well, I mean, a win's a win is obviously my philosophy a lot of times in football. Like, ugly wins are annoying, and I don't know if they're super sustainable, but at the end of the day, it's another tick on the win column for a team. But then you look at like Jalen Hurts, like would have like barely over 100 pass yards, and that's when I was like, if this is how you're just going to call the offense the entirety of the season, I have genuine concerns for the team. But then here, yeah, they switch up the game plan a little bit and have a little bit more of a pass attack, because it's like you have what, in my opinion, is like probably, is this the second best like receiver duo in the league right now? Wouldn't you say? Like, I'm trying to think of like how many other better ones there are. That's why I said second best, because obviously I'm taking Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as my number one. But like,
if you told me about the first half, I would have said it was Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. But I mean, after 3 weeks, we need to see more from Puka and Devontae. Like, that's that. I still think it's A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith especially after week 3. Because they work just so well together. Speaking of which, my overreaction. Initially, I was gonna say Puka Nacua is the best receiver in the league, just to make you mad and say like, Josh, what the heck? Like, you were just so disrespectful to Puka Nacua at the start of the season. Man, 15 targets 11 receptions, 112 yards. That guy's a monster. Like
Luka a
he is
dog.
getting fed right now. But my actual take on the Rams offense is Blake Corum will become the starter by year's end. And it's nothing that Kyron Williams is doing wrong. I just think you're seeing more out of Blake Corum, and he's getting used more and more as the season progresses. So if Kyron slips up, or knock on wood, he has an injury, like I think it's Blake Corum and never looking back. So that's my overreaction here. He looks good.
Yeah, Blake Corum did look good. Yeah, and I know there's like a lot of concerns. I was even concerned with just the overall lack of usage he had his rookie season. But honestly, even like with these spurts, I wouldn't be surprised if he has an underwhelming overall season still. But then all of a sudden next year, like Corum is just the guy for the team. Because I think back to when it was Cam Akers and Kyron Williams on the team, right? And like Kyron Williams had like this small stretch at the end, was maybe the end of his rookie season, where they were like kind of giving him more touches, but then he wasn't quite as efficient as I think a lot of people wanted. And then they'd be flipping back and forth a lot with Cam Akers, and then it would be Kyron Williams 1 week, and then it would be I forget his name, but there was another guy in the mix. And it would be kind of this weird cycle. And then so the next season you're like, oh, is it gonna be Kyron? Or like, you know, and there's this whole question mark situation again. And then it just became Kyron's backfield after like.
Was it Cam Akers? Were you thinking Cam Akers?
Yeah, I was saying it was Cam Akers, Kyron Williams, and then there's this one other dude.
I know who you're talking about because I touted him. What was his name?
I know. You were a huge fan of this
Zach
guy.
Evans.
Like,
Zach Evans. I was huge.
Yeah.
I was a huge Zach Evans fan.
Yeah, and so like they had this mix, and everyone was like, "Who's it gonna be?" You know? And then it just kind of became Kyron's, almost not quite out of the blue, because obviously you have to pick some guy out of that trio of guys. But then it was kind of like, I guess it's Kyron. And so it kind of feels like a start of the season kind of change that the Rams seem to like to do with their running backs. And so like I think Corum will have similar weeks to like what we see now, even potentially better weeks throughout the season, maybe scattered about. I don't think it'll be quite as consistent as I think a lot of fantasy owners wish it would be. But then, I wouldn't be surprised next season that Corum has a very higher substantial role as like a playmaker in this offense.
Okay. And my last overreaction is Quentin Johnson is a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Insane. Who saw this coming? Like at the start of the season with the way the season Lad had, and then you saw Keenan Allen. Like, man, he is sixth right now in receiving yards for 3 weeks, and that's 2 more than Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's 3 more than Zay Flowers. Or no, 8 more than Zay Flowers. And that above CD is kind of unfair to make. But let's see here. That's more than Justin Jefferson. That's more than Tyreek Hill. More than Garrett Wilson. It's probably even more impressive that Ricky Pearsall is third in receiving yardage. But he is playing well in the structure of that team right now. So Quentin Johnson, you might be a top 10 receiver in receiving yardage by year's end.
Now, Quentin Johnson, he woke up sometime this offseason. He went like this, and he's like, wait, these are supposed to catch the football? And then he did.
Marvin Harrison, there's hope for you, man. There's hope.
Marvin Harrison just wake up and go like, wait a minute. I've been missing this.
This has been a superpower I never realized.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I hope he consistently is able to do this. It was obviously because I mean we saw spurts of this last season where it's like he'd have these games where he'd look like the best player in the NFL, right? But then like the next week he would have like 4 like easy drops, and you're like, come on, man, everybody's starting, you know. But like yeah, it would happen like that. And so obviously that was the big concern. But it seems like he's cleaned this up. So hopefully there's no type of, you know, regression or like reversion to how he was obviously the last couple of years of his career, because it's fun to see a guy, especially when you draft him the first round, have success like this.
I'm counting on it because
Mhm.
Xavier Worthy, Jaden Reed, and then other receivers in my lineup are really hurt right now. So
Yeah.
including Aaron Jones. So I need all the help that I can get.
Mhm. Yeah.
Alrighty. Got any parting words for the lovely people here, Corstian?
Puka Nakua's a dog, I guess.
It's a lot of cold takes for me this week right now, so I will wear it like a badge of honor. Alrighty.
I think a lot of
Thank
people
you
have
guys
cold
so
takes.
much for watching.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying, Corstian?
I was just saying, it feels like there was a lot of cold takes coming into this season. I mean, like, another thing where it's not just from you, obviously. It was like just in general, or because you look at the consensus, like top 10 to 12 like fantasy players or whatever that were getting drafted, and like there's like not that many guys that I'm like overly excited for, because all right, this is like another little extra bit here, but you have like Jamar Chase, who obviously everyone is drafting #1 overall. Obviously, I think there is a capacity where they turn it around, right? But he hasn't looked. Oh, that's my thumb. He hasn't looked super exciting here. Justin Jefferson has looked kind of middling. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been kind of like on and off. Jahmyr Gibbs, like he had a good game this week, but then like prior to that, it was kind of like middle of the road in my opinion. Saquon Barkley's been kind of slow at times. Christian McCaffrey hasn't had like the crazy lights out games that every single week. Nico
Derrick
Collins,
Henry, 3 points in week 2.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, Nico Collins, Brian Thomas Jr. Like these are guys that a lot of people are like first round or like early second round type picks that people are making, and it feels like the top 15 fantasy players is a lot of fantasy misses, which is crazy. And so I feel like this just feels like a at least the start of this season feels like a season of cold takes.
Yeah, it is. I really don't know what to make of the season so far. It is confounding me, to be honest. And yardage is down with the new kickoff rules. Like things are weird in the NFL right now. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Maybe we'll have some weird facts like going into next week about like fantasy performances this season. But until then, thank you guys for watching. You can follow us on our Instagram page that we never upload because I'm been bad at it. So that's our Instagram channel name. You can find our full length videos on YouTube, which is actually updated weekly with full length videos for your pleasure. And Corstian, before we go, what do you got to say to the audience?
Peace. Woo!